There we go. What's going on, everyone? Saturday morning, bright and early, up and at 'em. This is the first Saturday morning Insanity live stream with JD, MF, and Temple, and my super freaking awesome friend from all over the place in the United States, Dennis Eggleston.
How are you? How's beer?
Yeah, man, I'm great. I'm tired, but you know that's how it goes. And people are back, man. Milton, what's going on? And Damon, what's going on? We've got actual Wi-Fi up in here this time, so there's not gonna be any lagging or anything like that. Nice. It's gonna work. What's up, Broken Hiveling? How you doing? We're gonna get into like where we left off, or kind of try to jump in where we left off. One of the things that I wanted to touch on, and that Dennis wanted to touch on too, this is something that I think is certainly very, very important, but it can be a little confusing, and there's really no one better to kind of go in and disseminate this for us better than Dennis, and that is the whole concept of the self and not self. And how can you explain that to all of us in the best way to where we can digest it and easily understand this?
Okay, so you know when you're a kid and you're nervous because you have to go to school for the first time, and so you're kind of scared to do it, you have butterflies in your stomach, and you're like, oh no, you've never been to school before, you're wondering what am I going to do, and your dad tells you, it's okay, he knows you're afraid a little bit, and he says, it's okay, pat you on the head, he says, you just be yourself when you go to school there, you just be yourself, you'll be fine, just keep to yourself if you need to, be yourself, you'll be good. And then so you go, okay, that's good enough, you go off to school and you be everybody else, and it's yourself. And what we need to know is that your dad didn't tell you to go, it's okay, go be everyone else, but don't be you. And the most important thing to know is that I'd like to share information I think most people do not know and are not aware of, that you can be yourself and anyone can be themselves. WWE wrestlers are themselves, boxers are themselves, cops are themselves, you know, psychos are themselves. but it takes more than just a self to be something advanced. And being advanced is a spiritual trait, which is not even something you want to do if you've already got the strength at the WWE wrestling level. You don't need to be advanced.
It's like being like a chameleon in a way.
If I'm already Hulk Hogan, I don't need to worry about trying to learn how to be Barbie doll.
Right.
And so the not self is a part of us which people don't know about. You mean I could be somebody else? Well, you are other people. You are somebody else, yes. And there's some of you, if you're Aries or Leo, you're not somebody else. So I tell Aries, you're just yourself, you're nobody else. I'll tell Leo maybe the same thing, but I'll tell Libra, you're everybody else and not yourself. So what you realize is that, are you trying to tell me that I could be more than just myself? Yes. Just as much as you can be yourself, you could be anyone else.
You're saying that, like, if I'm understanding this right, that Aries would have a hard time trying to be other people?
Well, Aries really couldn't be anyone else.
Okay.
Because Aries is the only one and the only one there. But Aries can...
Because of the whole one seat thing.
Right, and Aries can dispossess himself or get out of himself. He could vacate his seat and say, well, I can't really be them, but I can get out of my seat and let them sit in it. And that's the way Aries does people, by getting out of his seat and letting someone else sit in it.
But then they're dispossessed and they're not themselves, and they have allowed, basically, they've allowed themselves to become dispossessed by being possessed by someone else.
And so they're truly not others when they're dispossessed. It's called they're dispossessed of themselves, and they're still not others.
And they're like totally lost.
And then they may be being others and the behavior of it, meaning that even though Aries is not other people, when he is himself, when he loses himself, he still won't be them. But then he'll be more willing to cooperate with them because he doesn't have himself.
And you said some things that were really, really interesting that, I mean, like way back, and I know you've talked about it before too, about how, you know, that Aries, like all Aries, that they're their main objective, or the thing that they just do naturally, is they possess things. Like they possess other people, and they're almost like, in a way, they're like, and like all Aries are like demons, basically.
Right, and everybody's Aries. So understand this: astrologers either don't know astrology, or they're not really understanding a lot of lost things about astrology. I'm going to give you an example of how astrologers may not understand astrology. I'm not saying they don't. I'm saying if they didn't know this much, they don't. Everybody's the sun sign, and the sun sign is Leo, exalted in Aries. So what is the sun sign? It's actually Leo, exalted in Aries. That's 5 and 1, the 2 egos. And then all of the 12 signs. There's my alarm for wake up time. It's time to get up. It's 8 a.m.
Oh shit.
So where were we at now?
So we were talking about the Aries exalted in Leo.
Oh yeah, okay, the sun sign, right? Okay, this is what most astrologers either don't know, but it's like, how did you not know this? Okay, it's like, okay, so every sign, you look to your sun sign. So let's say you're Pisces. How do you know you're Pisces? Because you go to your sun sign and say, what am I? Let's go to the sun sign and look. Okay, my sun sign says I'm Pisces. Oh, but you're not Aries? Sure, you're Leo and Aries. Well, if you're the sun sign and you're looking to the sun sign, you're already Leo and Aries. You have to be Leo and Aries, or you wouldn't look to the sun sign. You'd say, I'm not the sun sign, I'm the moon sign, because I only got her. I'm not him.
And that comes from like Roman.
That comes from Roman times when Rome illegalized astrology for 300 years. And then by pain of threat and death, there used to be 6 gods and goddesses on the zodiac wheel. And when Rome illegalized astrology, they said, if we catch you with gods and goddesses on your zodiac chart, you will be subject to enslavement for life or death, or we could pee on you and let you go. But ultimately, whatever we want to do with you. And Rome had full authority over someone's life and could even, do whatever they want with it, just for being caught with 6 gods and 6 goddesses. So all of the astrologers decided to put animals on the chart instead.
And I know you said something before too about like in those times, like back in like the Roman, like during the Roman Empire, that all of like every Aries would naturally just automatically become a leader.
Well, every one will always be a singularity and it won't be plural because it's not 2. So understand that there's 2 ones and the number 2, and the number 2 is considered to be a plural number, but it's made of 2 ones. So ask yourself, how could the first even number 2, be actually even if it's actually made of 2 not evens? And if the 1 is made from just 1 even, and it's only odd, then how could 2 be even if it's made of 2 ones? You see what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense, does it?
It's like you said, like it was like 2 is the prime number.
The prime number 2 is a 1. It's not a 2. And the reason why they took in the prime numbers in math and the composite numbers, the reason why they took the special numbers group aside and there's only the 1 in it, meaning that out of all the numbers in the universe, there's 2 groups, the prime numbers and the composite numbers. And there's actually a 3rd group. It's called the number 1 by itself. It's called the special numbers group. And it's removed from all the other numbers in the universe and the other 2 groups.
Is that why 11 would be so special then?
11 would be considered a prime number, and it would be in the group of starting with the number 2, which is even, made of 2 odds.
Okay.
And so why can't 1 take the title even since 2's got 2 ones and it's called the first even? How come 1 can't say I could be even too, right? I'm not just an odd number. Well, the 1's not actually odd. The first odd number is 3. So if a mathematician told you I was wrong, he just didn't know, because actually 1 is whole, and it's a whole number that can be either pushed out of its spot and dispossessed, or allowed to sit in its spot still and be there. But so understand that there's no fraction in the first number 1. It's not a fraction of anything, and it can't be fractionized. It could either be removed entirely from where it's at, or it could be entirely where it's at.
Okay.
And when you get to 2, you're now fractionizing. You're now able to fractionize 100% into 250s, and when it goes to 3, you could even make 33% 3 times. So what I'm saying is that the first odd number is 3, and the 2, if it could take the quality of an even number, how come it's made of 2 odds?
And I know you said something before too about like, so Taurus has 2 seats, right? So you're moving from Aries to Taurus. It's got 2 seats, and Taurus has the god and the goddess.
Everybody gets possessed by Aries and Leo, and the sun sign is Aries and Leo. It's actually, no, it's not Aries and Leo, excuse me. I say that wrong all the time because I'm a double Aries. Pardon me. I'm a Pisces when I put my plurality in there. I go right to Pisces and Capricorn. So if I'm going to be her too, I'm actually going to be a Pisces with Capricorn moon. I could also slightly change the plurality in that by making it, you know, different, like by using the numbers differently. And so it could be slightly different. But if you're a singularity, if you're single-minded, you're going to be using Western astrology or the tropical astrology. If you're considered not to be single-minded, but maybe like more than one, then you're going to be using Eastern astrology or the Vedic astrology, because they consider that astrology is considered to be a plurality. It means that they don't say that everyone's one and not two. In the Vedic astrology, they say everyone could be two and they might be one, but they're probably two first and then maybe one if they won't want to be two. And then the tropical astrology says, no, we're never two. We're only one, man, or two ones. We don't have to be two. And it's ultimately because the men were saying that that we can possess things and be possessive, but we don't want to be possessed. And women, or the two gets possessed by two ones. Understand, this is very difficult. And you have to understand that this is amazing, unbelievable, hard to understand biochemistry, biological. This is so complicated stuff that we might as well be talking biochemistry here, because now we're talking about the same thing as mixing chemicals. You're talking about mixing spirit. It'll mix just like chemicals mix, and it'll mix into a new variety, a bunch of different things.
And then you can watch people's personalities appear to totally change up on you, but really it's not necessarily that they have a split personality or that they become someone else.
Okay, I understand what you're talking about. I do. Okay, now understand there's a number one is there. It's by itself. It's all alone, right? There's nobody else with it. So it is truly alone. All numbers are not alone. Two is not alone. Two has two ones. Don't tell me that two can say, I know what it's like to be alone. I have two ones with me. I'm a two. I'd say, no, you don't. Two, you don't know what it's like to be alone because you have two ones all the time. They're always with each other. So what sign is the only sign that knows what loneliness really is? It's Aries and maybe Leo. And any other sign that is being Aries or Leo. And so all signs are Aries and Leo because, well, I say Aries and Leo. That's my mistake. It's actually Leo exalted and Aries is the truth. Because understand that Aries is wrong if it's Aries and Leo. Ultimately, it's Mars, and it's not the sun. If it's actually being Aries correct, it's Leo first, because Leo has house 2, which will be Taurus, and that makes Aries exalted. So Aries is exalted, and that's special. So when we say Leo is exalted in Aries, we're saying those two are being special because Leo is using house 2 and being special in Aries. And Aries says, I'm special too, right? I'm exalted. How come I'm special? Because you're using the sun sign, Aries. You're special. You're with Leo. Both of you are being there, and you've got house 2. You've got the feminine. You've got house 2. What's house 2? It's the divine feminine house. What's house 2? It's made of 2 ones. What's the second one? It's her. So what's the first one? It's him. So what's the first one alone? It's him by himself. So what's the second one if it's by itself? It's her by herself without him. So what is a 2 actually? It's probably a second one that won't be 2, because it's saying, well, he's alone and he does what he wants. Why can't I be alone and do what I want? There's a lot of women there. So most Tauruses might be problematic and they're not 2. So you'll say, wait a minute, what's a 2 then? I'll say, that's a Taurus with Aries. It's 2. It can't be 1. Taurus say, wait, you're 1. Why can't I be 1? You're first one. I'll be second one. Okay. And then Aries say, yeah, but what about 2? What about the 2? And we'll say, Gemini could be 2. You see what I'm saying? But understand this. Here's the point. The 1 that comes from Aries is singular and it's masculine. And the 2 ones here are with each other. And one's singular and one's feminine, or one's masculine, one's feminine. So here's the psychoticness of all the people. There's 3 ones here we're dealing with. There's a 1 here. There's 2 ones that make the 2. So there's 3 ones we got. Okay, house 2 is the house of earth sign element. So see this earth sign element? These 2 ones are an earth sign element. They're with each other in company. Now these singularities right here can be used and they will get along and they will be okay. They will not have a problem with each other because they're actually used to being each other. So when you take a 1 and it's coming from these 2 spots, it'll either be her taking this one saying, yeah, I'm used to being with him. We're in house 2 in the earth element and the feminine, even though he's masculine in it. He could still be a manly man, but he's with me in house 2 in the divine feminine house as the masculine down here. So what happens if it's just one of this one? What happens if someone takes this one? Because what's this one? It's him by himself without her. And she might not like that already.
And so, like, that's why you said that, like, Aries is like really the only sign that truly knows what loneliness is, because really they are,
because truly they're the only
themselves.
spirit in the body that has not another spirit with it. When Aries is in Aries' body possessing himself, he's the only one there. There's nobody with him. But the other option is he can get out and somebody else can take his seat.
And so,
and then Aries will be dispossessed and not there.
And that's when I guess you're going to have,
and that could be any sign doing that.
An Aries that is prone to like getting strung out on drugs or very depressed.
Absolutely. What is the reason to live? Okay, let me tell you something. If you don't even have yourself, if your self came down here to live on Earth, if you have a self because your self wants to live, well, if your self doesn't want to live, what if I told you that's impossible? Your self always wants to live. Your self can't not want to live. I'd say there's no such thing that anyone could tell me myself didn't want to live. I'd say, no, you didn't have yourself. That's why you didn't want to live. If you had yourself, you would have wanted to live. So you're trying to tell me that I can't say myself didn't want to live. I'd say no such thing. A self always wants to live. If you don't want to live, you didn't have a self.
And you think that one of the primary reasons, I mean, it could just be more of a stigma thing or what have you, that people just tend to not like Aries people for whatever
because
reason.
They're possessive, and since the Aries will be the only one there. If Aries plays musical chairs, then if Aries agrees to play musical chairs, Aries might lose every time. So why play it ever? Because as long as I don't play it once, I won't lose it once. And the thing about Taurus is she's got two chairs, so she could say, Aries, let's play musical chairs, and they can go around the two chairs until the music stops and both sit down and both win.
And I mean, like, so Aries are usually, they're just doing what they're supposed to do.
They're doing what they were born to do. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what causes the ego to be mad and angry at the world, and even think it's better than the world. And it is in truth better than the world, because understand that if you don't have an ego, then you're either advanced, and that's why you don't have it. And then I'll say, why don't you have it if you're advanced? And you'll say, because I'm advanced and I'm still not taking it. And I'll say, why don't you be more advanced? Why don't you, since you don't have it and you're advanced now, why don't you take it now and be even more advanced now? Because understand that the only thing that's not advanced is when you have an ego only and nothing else. But when you actually get rid of that ego, you're actually more advanced now without the ego. And then understand that you need to get that ego back once you've got the not self. So let's talk about the not self for a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first 6 signs in astrology are selves. So let's see. Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, and Virgo are all selves. They're not anyone else. So you're trying to tell me that the actual first 6 signs of the zodiac are only themselves and nobody else? Correct, yes. They're only themselves and nobody else. Okay, so what could happen to them? They could get pushed out of themselves and dispossessed. But they might have themselves and are possessed of themselves, and they're called selves. So what is a not self? Well, after you get to Virgo in mathematics, Virgo is considered to be perfect number 6 in mathematics because it's got 3 factors, and all the other numbers got only 1 or 2 factors. Or like Aries only got just 1 factor, just me, myself, or me. And that's not 3, that's only 1. So, literally, the 3 factors Virgo's got is 2 times 3 or 3 times 2 or 1 times 6, which could be either 2 or 3 or 1. And Aries will say, I only got 1. Leo will say, I got 1 and 5. And ultimately, the Cancer could say, I got 1, 2, and 4. But ultimately, yeah, the most balanced one is the self. The not self comes next, Libra. After Virgo, the 7th house is called the not self. So Virgo is the most balanced self when that perfect number 6 comes in. You can't get any better than perfect number 6 with 3 factors. And so what happens now, the ego falls out naturally in 7th house. And a person born in 7th house won't have what they call actual ego. It won't be there. And what are they? Are they a self? Yeah, they're called a not self, because if you're born in house 7, then that was after the ego's got as good as they could get. They can't get any better than Virgo. And so is there an ego going to be in 7? No, Virgo's is as much as you can make the ego do whatever it does, and it can't do anything more. Okay, so then 6 is perfect, right? So what's 7? Well, 7 is actually perfection, but it doesn't have a self. It'll be with
so like Libra is always like other people.
Libra is a not self, and that's the self Libra is. It's a form of self, but you can't say it's a self because Libra is not themselves. They're I'm you. If I'm Libra, I'm just you, or I'm just my mom, or my brother, or I'm my friend, or whoever I'm helping. I don't need to be me. I'm advanced. So ultimately, it's advanced to be 7. So if you want to say the first 6 days the Earth was being created, well, in Aries on the first day, the earth was really primitive, on fire and volcano. And on the 6th day, it was growing crops of corn, and people were dancing with their houses being built. And so on that 6th day, that earth was done. And so on the 7th day, God rested and said, yeah, we don't have a self anymore. We're going to take a break today and play some volleyball and relax. And that would be, they did nothing on the 7th day but rest, because they said there is no self here. There's really nothing to do. And so basically the not self comes in now 7, and it's a self, but we don't say it's a self. We say it's a not self. It's not itself. It'll be someone else first. So that's what I'm saying to you that you need to know, is that when we were talking about, you could be yourself, and your dad will tell you to be yourself, and you'll go do it. But what I'm telling you is, when you go off to be yourself in school, you're not being yourself. When your dad tells you, go be yourself, you'll be good, and you go, okay, you go off and be them, is what you're really done. So when a kid goes off and thinks he's obeying his dad, when his dad says, go be yourself, you'll be fine, and he says, okay, I can go be myself, and he'll go off and be them, thinking that's himself. So most kids are already trained to think that what their self is other people. And that's what will confuse Aries and Leos, and that's what will confuse the not self too, saying, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to take a self? So understand this, the tragedy of what's going on that I want to communicate, the tragedy is that no one's being taught this stuff in school. So what is a tragedy? How could you say it's a tragedy if Libra is not told, excuse me, Libra in second grade, Libra, can you come over here? Come on here. Come here. It's okay. Yeah, sit down. Sit on my lap, Libra. I want to tell you something, Libra. Did you know you're not really yourself? What do you mean I'm not really myself? Did you know, Libra, you're more like everybody else? Like, you're kind of like, your spirit is like everybody else. It's like, I'm not really me. I'm more like you. Did you know that? And Libra would say, yeah, I'm like everybody else. And I'd say, you sure are, Libra. And it's okay, Libra. That's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. And you're not weak. You're not weak because of that. And Libra would say, I'm not weak. It's okay to be other people. And I'd say, you're the best other people. You're only other people. And I'd say, you can be yourself, but you're not really yourself. It's okay. And Libra would go off and say, I'm glad I understand that. I think I get to handle it now. But understand, because you weren't told that in second grade, you had an adolescent misbehaving, every kind of little criminal mischief, saying, wait a minute, if I don't even understand nothing, and you're trying to tell me, yeah, it's a mad kid saying that there's no understanding of my life, and never even came, so don't tell me I have to obey any rules, because it's ultimately some Libra saying, I don't even know I'm not self, but I already know I can't even be a self, no matter how hard I try. And I don't even understand any of this, and I can't even put this into an understanding to even be okay. So I'm gonna flip out and be some misbehaving kid.
So it's like they become dispossessed, like Aries would become dispossessed in a sense.
Well, a non-self will think that that there's something wrong with them because they're actually perfect. So what I'm saying is, a not-self is, God said, you know, if you're not yourself, you're just gonna be me. I love that. I love that. I cherish you for just being me, because I probably won't have to argue with you or tell you you're misbehaving or please do what I say, please. Because if you're just being me, I'll probably say, what can I do for you? What do you want me to do? You just be all me. So you're just gonna say, what should we do next? And I'll say, well, okay, let's mow the lawn. You'll mow the lawn, okay? And I'll get the grass with the clips. And you'll just do it. If you're gonna be them, if you're really them, you just go do it. Meaning, what does it take to misbehave? It takes a self. So how does a not self misbehave? It takes a self. So what does Libra do wrong with not self? It's never told, never taught, and then feels like everything's wrong and it's someone's diseased about it, or it's like, oh my God, I'm so disgusted with myself. I don't even know. At least Aries and Leo could be themselves, and they misbehave, and they're strong, and they misbehave. Oh yeah, that misbehavior becomes a factor for every kind of goodness that makes any kid say, wow, I feel comfortable around myself, and I don't even know. And Libra, the not self, will take a self and then realize when they do it that they're stronger, they have more of the willpower, but they're saying to themselves, wait a minute, but I'm not Aries, I'm not a self. So Libra will actually take a self, realize it's a power to use and it works better than nothing, and then also realize that now I'm not even me anymore, I just became Aries, and now that feels like something's way wrong. So that's a twistedness that makes it up. So what I'm saying is that astrology wasn't taught in schools, and that is actually why this world is all screwed up, and adolescence is a complete, children don't misbehave, and they wouldn't misbehave. They misbehave because there's no understanding put into any school in any child.
So like really, in essence, if they looked to astrology for a lot of these answers as to why people act the way they do, why kids are acting out, or why they're having a hard time, why they're struggling, and if they could identify these things, they could kind of get them on track and help them to understand why
there would be no misbehaving.
Yeah, like they would
Kids would want to
understand.
behave. They even like behaving. There'd be no reason to want to like misbehaving. Why would I want to like misbehaving? Because what I do when I was liking misbehaving was saying, don't tell me I'm not taking myself, and don't think I'm going to class and not being me for a whole hour. Why I really hate it. And then I don't even understand any of this. I'm going to say I don't even need to understand this, but yes, you do. So understand when you could even have the smallest understandings, they're like gold nuggets coming from the sky.
Would you say that, well, necessarily like that Aries has the hardest time in life out of all of the signs?
Many of them could. They could all have hard times, and ultimately they're all Aries. And they could also decide not to be Aries, and even Aries will decide not to be Aries because the other signs won't take ego. They'll say, I don't like that ego. That's Aries. And Aries will go, what's wrong with me? I don't even like myself. Why should I even like me? And then Aries will be, and now I'm mad at you because I hate me. I hate me because it's your fault. Oh, why is it your fault? Because you don't like ego and you won't take it. So now I hate myself and I don't like you either. And so wait a minute, what's going on here? Why would I call myself advanced and get mad at ego? Because ego misbehaves and you are not as advanced as you think. And that's what I tell you. Because I understand if you actually were yelling at ego and saying, well, you're not as advanced as me and I'm better than you. I don't even need you. I won't even be myself. And I'll say, yeah, but once you get to house 7, you're supposed to take yourself and become Scorpio in house 8. So the only place truly Libra is supposed to be had is in house 7. And this means that you need a self no matter what. And in the process of learning and growing, when you learn astrology, what you're going to learn is you have to lose the self. And it's almost a must. And at some point when you lose it and you can't have it back and you try to take it back no matter what 10,000 times and you couldn't get it, and then you accept the fact that you're never going to get it, then once you accept the fact you're never going to get it and you're okay with that now, and the magic happens, and okay, the goddess says, well, now I guess you're not going to have the big fit anymore, are you? You're going to accept that you're just never getting that ego, are you? And now it's okay. And okay, now you can have it. And you'll say, what? The moment I finally accepted the fact that I was going to let that goddamn thing go you'd never given to me, and now you're going to say I can have it? After I finally said, okay, I'll get rid of it? She'd say, yeah. But I'm only going to tell you that after you accept the fact that you're going to get rid of it and be okay with it. Never have it back. And those kids will do that. They'll get mad and say, well, I'm never going to do that. No, I'm going to have it. I don't care if I can't have it. I'll take it. And if you can take, yeah, you see what I'm saying? You cause misbehaving. It causes a formalized kind of criminal system in the kids, you know? And they're not going to do it.
And I know a lot of, like what I've come to understand a lot from watching your channel. And by the way, everyone, check out Dennis Eggleston's channel on YouTube. He's freaking awesome. He's got one of my favorite channels for sure. And we also have someone else here. And hey to everyone that's out there in the chat, everyone that's on the live stream, I appreciate you all being here. But I wanted to say that Jeremy Crow's here too. What's up, Jeremy? He's got a really, really awesome channel, and one of the channels that I enjoy the most out of anyone else out there as well. He has like all kinds of topics. They're all like extremely, extremely interesting, and he has a really good approach. Check his channel out, subscribe to that. And I'm going to put, I know Dennis's URL, and I'm going to put that here in the chat so that everybody can check it out. Please go check out his videos and subscribe, and check out Jeremy's channel too. One of the things that has caused, I guess, so much trouble for humanity, I guess, as a whole, is that the goddess has been removed from everything. And I know she speaks to you daily, and that she has
and God, I've never talked to God. I've tried to find God my whole life, never found him. I still haven't found him either. Maybe he's just too busy for me and he's ignoring me. Maybe he doesn't like me. Maybe he's saying I'm way more important than you, little boy. But I don't know what he's saying because I don't even know if he's even there.
What is your theory on that? Do you think, you tell me?
I'll tell you, I truly don't know. I'll tell you that the day, and this is absolutely true, I'm not even exaggerating this one slightness. The day that my life was almost over, where I had liver failure in the hospital and was dying, and literally was told I had 30 days or less if I didn't quit, or maybe not even that, even if I did quit. I didn't want to quit because I said I had been a Mormon, I had been a Jehovah's Witness, I had been every kind of different behavior, Seventh Adventist, Catholic, you name it, Christian, and then tried to search in a desperate kind of, yeah, this is an adventure in my 20s, and in my 30s, I'll find God like the Christian soldier. And then when I was in my 47th, year, I was an alcoholic saying, I'd rather drink this alcohol. It feels much better than not finding God. And yeah, and since I still have to wake up again, I just drink more because I still didn't find God. And so I was mad. And the day that I never declared to God, I'm mad at you. I wouldn't be mad at him. You understand? I wasn't mad at him, but I just was saying, I'm frustrated as heck, man. I was going through all kinds of emotional trauma in my life. But there was one day at 47 when I was already dying anyways. And so it didn't matter anymore. I got freaking pissed at him. And I said, now I'm freaking dying. It's your fault, man. And I was like, I just said, I let him have it. I said, this is BS, man. I said, I tried to look for you with every kind of loyalty, with every kind of following. I would have done anything for you, man. You weren't even there. You're not even there now. I don't know if I'm talking to myself.
I can relate to that.
I was freaking pissed. And you know what happened? After I declared that in my head, about an hour later, I had never thought of a goddess for the last 8 months. I can tell you that right now. For the last 8 months before that moment, I hadn't thought the word goddess or even thought of the idea of goddess because I didn't think about goddess ever. But about an hour after that big little temper tantrum I had on God, I suddenly felt a real strong presence of the feminine come on me, like my mom was here. And I said, whoa, mom? And it was like no one was with me. And I said, but yeah, there's somebody here. It's mom. Is it my older sister? It was a feminine. And I said, is this my mom? And so I was kind of figured out. And I thought, no. And you know what she said to me? And I didn't hear no voice. So I'm telling you, I knew what she had said. So like I just knew, like somehow I just knew like the goddess is talking to me, and she just told me this. She said to me, you've been rejecting me since you started drinking on your 19th year of your life. You started rejecting me with the girlfriend that you started rejecting. You started rejecting me, and you've been rejecting me your whole life since then. And what makes you think you're going to find God rejecting me this whole time? And I thought that was the best answer that I could possibly get. Because understand, I didn't make none of this up. I mean, when she told me that, I thought, that's a great answer, man. Are you kidding me? So you're telling me the reason why I didn't find God is because I wasn't looking for you?
And does that mean that maybe that God doesn't necessarily exist at all and that God is the goddess?
I don't know. I'll tell you, I don't know, because I know God exists somehow. I know he does. And ultimately, you know, it's a matter of, but wait a minute, if I know he exists, how come I've never talked to him? He's never talked to me. Maybe he doesn't like me. Maybe I'm not important enough.
Right? He doesn't like anyone.
But he certainly isn't. I've never seen proof that he's even existing. I can tell you the goddess exists because I'll tell you, as much as I never chose to have her or want her, even talk to her, when I was freaking dying and cussed God out, that goddess came to me and said, well, you didn't find God because you weren't looking for me. And I liked that answer. I thought, this is great. And then she started teaching me tarot cards, and she literally taught me math, and she started teaching me all this stuff and talking to me. And I went insane in my head trying to recover from alcohol. I went insane in my head, like, and it wasn't really insane. What I'm telling you is you'll think it was insane because when I was recovering from alcohol, my eyes were getting better and stuff. I was talking to voices in my head, and I thought it was a goddess that was sitting there with me all the time. She was hanging out with me every day, and she was saying, showing me this, teaching me that, like a mom would, and loving. And she was just like telling me all these things I wanted to know. I was like asking her questions. She was answering my questions, all of them. And I felt really good. And I said, wow, this is awesome to have a relationship with you. And she said, yeah, you never wanted it. Not once. And I said, are you kidding me? I never even knew. And she said, yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. And I said, well, I don't think I did. And she said, well, I think you did. And I was like, no, I don't think I did. But we went through that for a minute, you know. And I said, well, maybe I did. You know, ultimately, I was just disrespecting the feminine, just completely. And liked it.
So, and there's another thing that I wanted to get into that we were talking about earlier that really piqued my interest, and I wanted to touch on it a little bit here. You know, you and I were talking about the difference between Satan and Lucifer, specifically, and that, you know, what is the difference there, and like you.
Yeah, she told me all that. I asked her all these questions. I asked when I was recovering. When I was recovering from alcohol, from the alcohol and the death. I understand I didn't want to live anymore. I'd given up. So you have to understand that when at the time that I had literally failed to find God for 47 years, there was no goddess there yet, and I'd already given up. Now I was done. Do you understand? My feelings were no more. I don't care anymore. And so when the goddess came to me, it didn't take much for me to change my mind, but understand why it didn't take much for me to change my mind. I believed I was talking to a real goddess. And she told me, she showed me tarot cards. She explained what they meant. And then I said, really? Like, are you kidding me? Like, And then I said, I can go be a tarot card reader now. And she said, yeah, you'd be the best one. I said, and so I was sitting there by myself, learning from a goddess in my head, tarot cards. And she told me every detail about each card and what it meant and everything. And I was like having the funnest time in my life. And you know what happened as I was recovering from alcohol? I started enjoying every minute of my life like it's the best thing I ever had. I was like, this is the best thing I ever had, is have this relationship with Goddess, you know?
Like born again almost.
She showed me math. She taught me how to understand the prime numbers and the composite numbers and the two groups. She helped me understand things that I'd been looking for my whole life and couldn't find. And then she gave me that reward. She gave me my life. Meaning that I'm telling you, if she gave my life, she saved my life because she said, yeah, you don't want to live. You already gave up. So what's going to make you so want to live again? Well, I don't know. Make me believe I'm talking to a goddess. And then she's going to tell me all these extraordinary things like I'm a great tarot card reader. Teach me tarot cards. And then explain to me what prime numbers and composite numbers are in my head. And then if you could really do that, maybe I'll really want to live again. She said, okay, I'll do it. And she did it. And I said, you're kidding me. I do want to live again, man. This is awesome.
Yeah, speaking of that, I mean, if any of you out there in the chat, if you want an unbelievable tarot card reading that is certainly unique, that will really like drive deep down into just aspects of yourself and your situations in life, what's going on, Dennis is the man. I mean, he has been like my personal card reader for a couple of years now. And yeah, if you want to get a reading with him, email him at thatworks2222@gmail.com. I'm going to put that in the description right now. And I just put the link to his channel so that you can subscribe to that. I'm going to try to do Jeremy's as well. I think that it's probably his name, so I'm going to put that in there too. Check his out as well. But Dennis will give you like one of the best readings that you've ever had.
Because I'll give you a reading from Goddess. I'll give you a reading from the Divine Feminine, and I'll be the masculine doing it. So it's a matter of what you're going to see from me is a spirituality that is true. You know why I couldn't be a Mormon? You know why I couldn't be a Christian? You know why I couldn't be a Catholic? Because I didn't see God there. When I went to church, I said, okay, let's pray to God. We went in there and I said, okay, God, hi, how are you? And they were okay with that. And I said, where's God? And they said, well, we don't actually see him. I said, why not? Do we actually hear him? Do we even know he's there? And they said, he is here. And I couldn't see him. I got ashamed of myself because the Mormons could see God in church and I couldn't. I certainly couldn't. I tried and they said, he's here. I said, I don't see him. Where's he at? So I was looking, I wasn't going to play along. And so what I did is I thought maybe I'm not allowed to know. And that could have been true because maybe God said, I'm not showing myself to you. I'll show myself to those who deserve to see me. I definitely thought about that a lot. But I understand that when I realized that the Goddess was real and I'd never found God, and now she had given me that one answer, that one quick answer, you didn't find him because you weren't looking for me. I knew I was never looking for her. Do you understand? I didn't want to find her. I didn't think that women were important enough to even look for. And I certainly wasn't going to look for no goddess because I wouldn't even think of a goddess as anything but good. They removed her. It was just an idiot that was probably had no clue that thought that.
And is that why you think that, you know, that our society by and large has taken the stance on women as being unimportant and not as good as men and second-rate citizens and like almost like,
well, not anymore. No, they haven't. They have not done that. But understand what you're referring to is what they did do in Rome when they did that.
Yeah,
they did do it in Rome in such a bad way. And in Roman times, there was nobody going to say that they can't do whatever they want. And Aries and Leo are in charge of the egos. And so understand why the egos are hated. Because everybody's the sun sign. And what is the sun sign? It's Leo, exalted, and Aries. So what happens if you don't want to be the sun sign? Then you won't look at the sun sign to see what sign you are. Well, then what if I want to look at astrology and see what I am? Well, you certainly can. Because if you're not going to be Aries and Leo, you won't be yourself. And then you're going to either be a not self that's pissed off at selves, attacking egos, and saying you're more advanced because with your nose up in the air saying, I'm much better than you. Don't tell me those stupid egos are worth anything. And then I would say, well, yeah, you are a little more advanced, but you don't even have yourself. Did you know that ego at least has himself? So a not self needs to take a self. And what happens is if you get a little bit messed up, the not self needs to, what they need to do is when they become more advanced as a not self, they are more advanced. In fact, they're perfect. But then they need to take a self back, and that's Scorpio. That's where it becomes Scorpio.
And you know, tell me a little bit about this too. You know, and this is something that I certainly learned from you as well. I mean, I've never really known a whole heck of a lot about astrology, but you're talking to most people, I'd say 90% of people, when you are like, hey, you know, what is your sign? They automatically go right away to their sun sign. And it's like, okay,
Yeah,
well,
without even thinking.
what is your moon? And people are like, I don't know
Like,
what
they
you're
don't-
talking about. I don't know what the hell you're even talking
Yeah.
about, right? But it's like, that's one of like the most important elements of like what you truly are is by looking at your moon as well.
True, like you don't really want to look at the moon. Now, if you're a woman and you're Leo or Aries, then you are the sun sign, because that is the sun sign, Leo and Aries. So if it's a woman, it will still be a lioness, like a lion, or even a goat, which is the same thing as a lion, just a different way to look at it. There used to be gods and goddesses on those charts. Now they were lions and goats and tigers and bears and everything else. But I'm sorry.
Like for me, for example, my sun sign is Aries, Leo rising, and my moon is Aquarius.
Okay, the moon, right? Okay, the moon is the goddess, and the Venus is goddess. Which means if you're a woman, you look to moon and Venus. You don't look to the sun sign unless you're Leo or Aries woman. Then you would say, yeah, I am a sun sign, so I look to it. But I'm saying that what the Rome didn't care to tell you is what astrologers maybe don't know. And I'd say, whoops, astrologers, you should definitely tis. You should know this. What should we know, Mister? You're not even very successful yet and think you know everything with a goddess. Oh, well, I'd say, well, you need to know that, you know, if an ego's there, it's there. But if it's not, it's not. You need to know the difference between the sun sign, which is going to be only him and not her, and or if it's a her only, it'll be a lioness, like compared to a lion. But you're going to need to know if it's a her and it's not taking ego, it's not the sun sign at all. It's moon or Venus. So I tell a woman that didn't have an ego, I just go ask you, hi woman, do you think you have an ego? Do you think you're egotistical, or you're like, you take ego? And she'd say, no, I don't even like ego. In fact, I'd say, you look to Venus or the moon then. You don't look to the sun. Unless you're Aries Leo. And then she'd say, are you kidding me? So I was looking at my sun sign to see what I was. And I'd say, yeah, and unless you're Aries Leo, you were wrong. You weren't even whatever you thought you were.
Most women, even in today's society, if they'll not
say
Aries or Leo, they should be looking to their moon sign.
Yes, and they'll say that astrology is not accurate because they have no idea about the truth. And I'll say, well, it's not their fault. I'm not blaming them. I'm not saying because you have no idea about the truth that you'll say that it's not accurate. You're right. You're pointing out, hey, man, if you're saying on the sun sign, how come it doesn't seem right? I'd say because the Rome doesn't care to teach you the truth anymore. And the form of astrology we got is a Roman version of what was outlawed for 300 years. And it was allowed to come back as a hobby and a form of entertainment only.
So if I'm understanding this right, and I may be misunderstanding it somewhat, so for example, my moon is Aquarius. Like when I am being Aquarius,
you're being goddess energy.
So that is where I'm pulling my goddess.
Yeah, it's not from the sun. When you're being Aquarius, you're being the moon,
because the moon is very.
So there's three things. There's the sun,
goddess qualities.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
There's a sun, that's dad or him, and maybe her if she's a lioness. And then there's the moon, that's her and not probably him, because she's not possessed by him unless she is possessed by him, and that would be different. So that moon will be different in many cases. So that moon could be women being possessed, and that's okay, or women being possessed and saying that's not okay, and I'll kick your ass and get out of me, or it could be women that are doing some combination of something like that.
And so this reminds me like what I was talking about earlier. So you were talking about, you know, like, so like one of the differences that you see in what people would look for, like in Lucifer and Satan, is that like Lucifer is got Libra, where
the devil doesn't have Libra, and it's the same thing as Lucifer. If you take Libra out of Lucifer, you now have the devil, and it can't be, well, it's Lucifer still, but he's in a bad mood now, and he's a different entity too, because it won't be Lucifer anymore. It'll be actually called the devil now. So what's the devil? That's called seventh house not self, removed from I'm only self, and I'll kick your ass and do everything wrong on purpose, and don't tell me I'm taking a not self. I'll never take that not self. That's called the devil. And the devil will actually refuse to take that not self and say, I am not the not self. And you can call me the devil if you like, but you ain't going to get me to take it. And that'll be what the devil is. And now you put Satan in there and say, well, who's Satan? Well, Satan is between the devil, it's Libra removed, and then put aside as the talk of the subject. So I'm not taking Libra, but what are we talking about here? You know, if you put your pawn and move that ace to square king 5, then was that going to be the jack to the 9? Or, you know, ultimately Satan will be the intelligent chess player saying, I don't got Libra, but maybe you want me to have Libra. So let's talk about this for a while and I'll see if I like this conversation. You see, it's ultimately.
And that's interesting because you'll see that, like we were talking about earlier, in people, right? So, like how, you know, like, for instance, like there are aspects of me that could be Lucifer, or it could be Satan, and the whole difference in those
depending on what energies you lose or gain.
Right.
And Lucifer already has all things, all energies, including Libra, including the girly girl. So what has Lucifer got? He's got the little girl with the little candy cap and with the solid lollipop. So you're talking about Lucifer's got that little girl? He sure does. And you think he's scared of it? Or do you think he cares? You think it bothers him one bit? You think he thinks he's a sissy? No, he says, of course I got everybody. I'm Lucifer. And so it's like, yeah, but he's not going to be that little girl. He's got that little girl. And so someone else will be, yeah, I got the little girl too, but I think I'm stuck being that little girl. That's because you don't have to be Lucifer. You're still trying to refuse to be her.
And this kind of also brings to mind what we were talking about before we started this stream about Achilles and Hercules, and the differences there, and like what that did to Hercules and what that did for Achilles. Can you elaborate?
Yeah, thank you. That's an awesome one. I love to talk about that. Goddess informed me on some interesting information. She told me some things that really excited me and made me very thankful to have her as, wow, thanks. Because she gave me understandings that blew my mind, and I knew they were true. She thought, well, that's not good that Zeus went, my husband, God husband, decided to go have sex with a mortal woman. I don't really like that one bit, said Hera, the goddess. She said, that really makes me mad that he would do that to me and go cheat on me with some mortal woman.
It's lagging. What the effing F? So
let's just let it lag. Let's just keep going.
Okay.
If it lags, maybe if it doesn't catch whatever it doesn't, who cares? Because I'll probably only do this once anyways, as far as this subject goes. So the Hercules was the son of a god who loved himself, and his ego loved himself. And Hera didn't like that, because what made Hercules so great and strong was that he didn't have a goddess. Do you understand me?
Mm-hmm.
Hercules did not have any goddess in him whatsoever, and he had a lot of God in him, and he was going around going, yeah. People going, my God, you're awesome. What quality is so great about you? I have God, but the goddess. Isn't that awesome? And they were like, yeah, I guess that is. And Hera's going, nah, I'm getting mad. So she sicked the 2 cancer crabs on Hercules in his second labor to try to make him fail his second labor. When he was killing the Hydra in his second labor, she sicked 2 cancer crabs on him, tried to give him sickness and disease. And that was after he already killed his family and murders his 5 kids and wife. So why did he murder his 5 kids and wife? Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that part. Did you know Hercules murdered in a drunken fit, blind rage? Didn't even remember it. He woke up in the morning and he said he had a knife in his hand, a bloody knife dripping blood, and he said, oh my God, last night, honey, I killed like 6 dragons, man, and it was an ultimate battle. And then he looked around and his 5 kids are dead on the floor. He killed his whole family in his blind, drunk fit. And he wanted to die. Hercules wanted to die. He didn't want to live anymore. He said, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. He said, I don't even want to live. I suck. But you know what they did? They said, you're going to do 12 labors, because guess what, Hercules? We're not telling you. Guess what happened? And Hercules like, I don't know, but what was it? Hera, the goddess, said, oh yeah, Hercules, if you think it's so great not to have a goddess, well, watch this. How about if I make you think your wife is some creature, and why don't you just kill her for me? And so understand what Hera did is trick Hercules into killing his wife and children, and he wouldn't have done it if it hadn't been a goddess making him do it, and she made him do it. So understand, he didn't know that, so he woke up all hating himself, thinking, I want to die now. And so Zeus said, that's not fair, Hera. Make him do 12 labors. We'll make him have his dignity back. And ultimately he found out that she did that to him, and he was given another chance to be her again. Okay, Hercules, you want to be that goddess? No, she already made me murder my damn family. You want me to be her now? Well, if you are her now, she won't continue to attack you with cancer crabs next month. And the month after that, try to kill you in the 3rd labor 14 times. And then, you know what I'm saying?
So basically, like, by him really like denying the goddess and being proud that he had no goddess in him from Jump Street was like his ultimate downfall.
The ultimate downfall, and ultimate reason to be as great as he was and loved as he was, because the fact that he was so loved was he did not have a goddess, and he loved it. And everyone went, wow, you are freaking awesome.
And on the flip side of that, then you have
Achilles,
right?
Achilles. Okay, now let's talk about Achilles, who is not anything like Hercules. So who was Achilles? Achilles was the greatest warrior that ever lived. An army could not take Achilles down. 100 men could charge Achilles, and Achilles could take 100 men at once. Because you know what he had? He had mental strength that would actually make those men Peter Pants and run. And he could make you Peter Pants and run with his fierceness, because he would truly get you in a mental way, if not actually physical too. And it would be both, or at least one. In the mental way first, would be running already. So what was Achilles? Achilles was a goddess. Okay, so what are you trying to say? Achilles was a goddess? I'm saying that's right. Achilles had a goddess mother, the Thetis, Thetis, was a full-fledged goddess, and she had sex with a mortal man who actually, she let him capture her. He tried to capture her. Some mortal man was dumb enough to try to actually capture a goddess, and she ultimately loved the way he was so absolutely determined to capture that goddess. Because, oh my God, a mortal man's trying to capture me. There's no way it can happen. But he was like never gonna let go of her, and he tried to hug her to death. And she said, "Hey, you really love me. You really love me. I guess you really want to have sex with me, have kids with me, or something. Let's have Achilles, the greatest warrior that ever lived." That's how it happened. And so Achilles was born. He said, "I hate myself." "Why do you hate yourself?" "I don't know. I'm eating a cheese sandwich, and I don't know why, but I'm a mom. I'm not my dad." "Well, what do you mean? You're your dad, but he's just a man, just a mortal man." "Yeah, but my mom's a goddess, and she makes me great. I don't think I like myself anymore." So yeah, Achilles said, "I'm a goddess," and that's what he could tell himself all day. And his strength said, "Yeah, look how strong I am." He was strong, but he was no God. He had no God in him. There was no God in Achilles, the greatest warrior that ever lived. There was only goddess in him. There was a mortal man in him. So understand that the power of Hercules was a Hercules proud with his ego, being not her, only himself. That was a proud, I love me. Look how much I enjoy my life. Well, that was great, but the women would hate that kind of man. I enjoy everything about not being her. That's a Hercules man. Okay, now what's Achilles man? Well, the very opposite of that. I'm all her, and I don't enjoy anything in my life. Maybe not nothing. If I don't know, maybe I want to die, and I'm suicidal, but I definitely hate your ass, and I think I suck too. But I'll still kick all our asses with one hand tied behind my back, because I'm Achilles. So Achilles was just a fighter that was literally fierce, and when he got mad, he took on a goddess form of a feminine power that could be the greatest fighter that ever lived and was. But he hated himself. And he spent a lot of time ashamed of himself. Achilles would say, "I suck, man. Don't even tell me I'm not great." And everyone would say, "Look at your muscles, Achilles. Aren't they huge?" And he'd say, "Yeah, right. If there were Hercules, they might be huge." Yeah, but he'd still like himself, kind of. But you know what I'm saying? He didn't like himself.
It almost seems like this whole thing is like the whole problem that we have with ourselves and our society. Like it all kind of boils down to that, you know, by removing the goddess like we have become a Herculean society that only has God and that only sees a God.
Or an Achillean society that hates itself secretly, why it tries to pretend like it's actually getting along and being okay with itself, but wondering why it really thinks it sucks secretly.
And being ashamed
of itself, and then hating other people and being mad at everything.
Wow.
So if you're not Achilles, the greatest fighter that ever lived, and you hate yourself because you got a goddess and you happen to be a man, because if you're a woman and you got a goddess, you probably like yourself. Actually, so we're talking about mostly men here. Well, if you're not Achilles doing the I hate myself and I'm special and everyone else loves me a lot. Yeah, every woman says, "Oh my God, look at Achilles. He's got her. He's got the goddess. We love him." And he'll say, "Yeah, but I hate me." Okay, great. So what about Hercules? He'll say, "I ain't got her and I love me." And they'll say, "Yeah, but we hate you."
And so it's like really trying to find that balance is just become so difficult. You know, it's like most men do feel very hesitant to embrace that feminine side of themselves.
They're either afraid of being all feminine. Yeah, they're afraid of being taken over by it. If you can, look, if you're a flaming gay man, you're just only Venus. That's okay. Venus say, "I love it when they're only me." I mean, don't tell me I'm gonna be mad at him because he's all me and not even himself. He'll be walking around going, "Yay, I'm all Venus and I'm not even me and I don't care and I like it." Well, that's a flaming gay. Okay, so what about a gay that's not flaming? Well, it could be her and doesn't really care to be her necessarily, but could say, "I don't need to be her only. I'll be me too."
And then like
so, but you can be the girl, but you've got to. If you're going to be me too, if it's a masculinity, well, if it's a masculinity, that has nothing to do with gay, because what's a heterosexual? It's a masculine male that. So yeah, and they call that normal. But what is truly normal is not a masculine male. In fact, what is truly normal to Venus is a gay man. And she'd say, "That's normal to me. Yeah, a man that wants to be me, that's perfectly okay. He can be me, only me, and I love it." And I'll say, "Good for you. Thank you for dedicating your life to your goddess." and I love you, and I'll probably tell you a bunch of great things, and you're going to be happy, and no wonder he's happy. Do you know that gay man who's flaming probably actually talks to a goddess? Don't think you don't. And that's why he's running around dancing and doing twirls. Because he's actually talking to a goddess, no doubt. And if you're a manly man and you take a goddess, well, let me tell you something. If you choose to take a goddess and you're Aries or Leo, well, she's going to say, well, usually on the equinox is the moment you're born, unless you're this guy and you're actually April 11th. But she says, but this man could do equinox. Yeah, if you're actually born during the time of the Tomb Raiders, when that light beam was going over that one spot at the exact moment where all the planets lined up and everything, then you're called born on the equinox. What does that mean? That means if you're an Aries or Leo or you're a strong self, that means if you're a Hercules only and you don't have any Achilles in you really, well, the way that she gets Achilles into you is to either you're born on the equinox, so you could fit Achilles into Hercules. Oh yeah, if you're born that 30 seconds in that one day in March 23rd of that one moment where Raiders of the Lost Ark shadow went over the cast. Well, yeah, then you could actually fit Achilles into Hercules. But what about the other 364 days a year? Well, you can't ever do it. It's impossible to do it. Right?
And your birthday is on the 23rd.
I was born on the equinox within probably 12 hours of that special moment. I was born during that ceremony, yeah. And so understand that she told me about the Minerva festival, the Roman Minerva. So when the goddess was talking to me, I said, what's so special about me? This is a true story, absolutely true. She said, she was trying to tell me how great I am because I want her, and I thought I was.
Is this goddess that you're talking about now, or just nice controller 187 wants to know, is this Lilith that you're referring to?
It could be Lilith, and Lilith is not excluded, I'll tell you that. Because understand, Lilith, if Lilith is doing her P's and Q's, everything, like she can't be making one mistake, but if she's not making one mistake, then yeah, she could be just a perfect goddess. Because when the goddess is in a bad mood and she's still doing everything perfect, she'll be a perfect Lilith, but she'll continue to be in a bad mood. And when you put that same spirit into a woman who's not the goddess actually, but just being the goddess spiritually, then she'll not do it right. And so Lilith can't really do it right in a human woman, but in a perfect goddess in a bad mood, it is Lilith, and it doesn't do it wrong still, because she knows. And she's like, yeah, well, ultimately Lilith will be selfish to the point of, I don't count you, I only count me. Do you understand? And that's because Lilith is running from God, why God is chasing Lilith down the street saying, you're supposed to be Adam's wife. Lilith, you're supposed to be a wife. No, why doesn't he be my wife? How come I have to be his servant, slave, dog? And why can't he wash my dishes and have my baby? And God was like scratching his head. I don't know. Maybe you should go off and spawn all the demons in the world then, Lilith. She said, okay, I'll do it.
And so that's something else that you offer aside from like people's like their chart readings is their Lilith, where their Lilith
absolutely.
Their chart, right?
I could do a Lilith reading on you. I could find out how much Lilith you have, and what are you doing with Lilith, or if Lilith's getting in your way, or whatever's getting in your way. Because I can tell you, I can look at your chart and say how much Venus you have, how much moon goddess you have. Let's talk about Venus and the moon goddess for just a second. Okay, the moon goddess is a goddess. It's the moon goddess. The moon is representing a goddess, a whole goddess. It's a mom goddess, Mother Earth goddess. What's Venus? Well, that's different. Well, that's also the same. It's the same mom goddess, but now it's in a daughter instead of a mother. So you got to say, what's the difference between a daughter and a mother? Well, they're both of them are the goddess. But the daughter version is Venus, and it's not getting possessed by anything. Venus, but she could. But she ultimately says, if you possess me, I'll possess your ass too. Don't think I won't. If I take you, you're taking me, buddy. That's what Venus will say. So what does the moon say? The moon says, I'm more of a mother than that. I'll say, well, I'll take you, but then you better cooperate and love me and do what I say. If I take you, then I don't want you trying to control me. I want you to try to love me and be nice to me. And then if you try to control me, I'm going to be mad. And if you don't recognize me as mother and say I'm not a goddess anymore, well, then we're both in really big trouble after that. Because then I won't be able to have you anymore. And I can't be your goddess anymore because you've already denied me, unless you can control me. And that can't happen. You see what I'm saying? You can't tell the goddess I'm going to be your goddess.
Right. Because I mean, she's the goddess, right? So
yes, and any woman could be a goddess, and she is a goddess. So understand that if you're going to be the Venus goddess, you're possessive, like Aries or Leo, meaning that you've got the masculine man in you. So what is Venus? It's a manly goddess. She's a manly, but she's feminine. She wants to be. So that's not really true to say that. She's as manly as she wants to be. She'll kick your ass. She'll climb a tree better than you. Venus will race down the street faster than her older brother. In fact, she'll kick her older brother's ass. She'll kick her dad's ass.
Sounds like that's like my kind of woman, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Venus is using masculine energy of the sun sign or Mars and not using the feminine unless she just wants to be feminine. When she does her movement and her energy, it's not using feminine, it's using masculine, but she's still feminine with it, saying, yeah, I like it. It's a kind of a, you know, harsh energy, but it could irritate her sometimes. But ultimately Venus is that possessive goddess that's being a man in a woman, and it could be womanly too. Okay, so what's the moon goddess? Well, she'll be a different thing. It'll be that, oh my God, did I not know they're trying to possess and control me? Well, uh-oh, you're in trouble, because understand, if the moon goddess knows, she'll say, well, yeah, but understand, if you don't even know someone's trying to possess you, you won't let them. And then if you go around like a woman saying, I don't let anyone possess me, now I'm upset about it. Okay, so what are you upset about? All my relationships are fake and false, and people are all pretending. Why is that? Because none of us are possessing each other, so we don't really have each other spiritually, so we're not really having a relationship actually, except if we actually agree to have a friendship and not possess each other, which we're doing. It's all false, and I don't like it from the first start of the first minute. In fact, because you come to me and smile, I want to punch you in the face.
There's another thing that I almost forgot about that I thought was really interesting, and we're coming up, we're already going over an hour, so this would be a good thing to kind of finish things up with, would be the placement of, or you were showing me how close Jupiter is to the moon.
Jupiter and the moon. Okay, yeah, if you want to get a reading from me, if you're messed up emotionally, mentally, or spiritually, meaning if you said, you know, I don't really believe tarot card readers, and I don't really think that astrology is even real, I'll say most of them are not. And I understand many of them are not, at least half of them or more are not. But I'll say if you want an actual reading from someone who's going to get it from an actual goddess, an actual real, and I'll back up everything. I'll say, you know what, I'll tell you everything that's wrong with you that you had no idea. And you'll say, well, yeah, and so understand, if you want to be amazed, and yeah, because it's for real here. It's absolutely for real. It's not me trying to make money. And understand, yeah, it's not me trying to make money, although I want to make money. It's ultimately, I'm going to really amaze your ass and impress you. And they're only $35.
So that's what I was going to ask you. So anyone, so first time, like
okay, first time reading $35. Remember this, if you are codependent, remember this, if you're codependent, what's really going on is you're not codependent. You have someone else's spirit and you've lost your own. And now you only have theirs, and you can't stop thinking about them all the time. And you don't have any self-will or self in you, so you're frustrated and maybe want to die. So if you're codependent, I'm telling you, no, there's such thing as codependency. If you lost your spirit, you're just possessed, and you only got someone else's spirit instead, well, then you go around thinking you're codependent because you have no understanding. And then there's another one too. Let me tell you that. The second one is, yeah, we're almost done here. The second one is, if you think that psychological problems are just treatable by medication and you can't get your answers from me, well, understand, psychologists only know how to treat something that they can't tell you, well, we don't know why you're codependent, but we could give you medication for it. I'll tell you why you're codependent. Get your spirit back. You need to get yourself back, and you won't be codependent when you actually have yourself again, or you're possessed yourself again. That's what I'm saying.
So Jeremy Crow has a question here. I'm going to read it out loud. Here is to get a $35 reading from Dennis. I'm going to put his email him, and he'll get up with you to get that scheduled. But Jeremy has a question here. Can you talk about the difference between tropical and
sidereal? Yeah, absolutely.
Astrology. He's a Capricorn in mainstream Western tropical astrology, but in sidereal Western or in sidereal
Sagittarius. Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, dude, you're talking about that.
Yeah, I was talking about it.
That's weird, Jeremy. We were talking about that exact freaking difference, like in Capricorn and Sagittarius, like earlier this morning. It's crazy.
In fact, yeah, that was exactly what the question you asked. We're talking about it. And the answer to that is, well, astrology is different. It has different charts in it. It's known with different kinds of charts in astrology. Because astrology is singular or plural, and it either includes only itself and not the other, or it's actually including itself with the other. And so if it's a plural astrology, it's actually maybe him and her together. It's called Vedic astrology, or it's called sidereal astrology. Now, if it's called tropical astrology, it's saying, well, yeah, she's probably mad and won't let me in, so she won't take me. She won't get possessed by me, so she's singular. Second one, so understand, in America, it's mostly a mad woman that won't let a man possess her and says, you can't come in and don't think you're controlling me. And that'll be a woman being a singular, just like the man who's trying to get in her singularly. And so what do we have in America? We have a singular man who's trying to get in a woman who's supposed to be plural, but she's mad about that because he's trying to control her. So she's saying, no, you can't come in. And that's called tropical astrology.
So almost kind of like it's like where the whole like feminist like movement comes from, in a sense. Like, you know, you get these women that are just pissed off because they're not understanding like really how things should intermingle and how.
Well, they would think that they shouldn't be possessed, and then they would try to have a relationship with a man without possessing each other, and they would find the most uncomfortable, false kind of, my God, is there even love in this world? I don't think so. I don't even know if I want it. Well, why are you so being like that for a woman? Because I'm trying to have a relationship with a man, and he won't possess me, and I won't let him possess me, and I'm not, yeah, I won't let him in, and he doesn't let me in. And we're trying to be like in agreement to have a relationship like that. Well, okay, you won't get each other's cooties at all, spiritually or actually? Yeah, no, we won't even touch each other's skin. You know, it's like, okay, well, what are you going to do? Why even have a relationship? You're going to pretend to do that?
There's probably all kinds of people out here that are in relationships like that. You don't all have to chime in and say if you are or you aren't, but
if a woman lets a man possess her, he'll like it. Aries will love possessing a woman because he'll get in. You know what that means with him? If you let Aries possess you, if it's a man and you're a woman, well then as soon as you let Aries in, he'll say, oh my God, she likes me and I'm accepted. I like that. She's awesome. Wow, she let me in. Cool. Maybe she likes me now. Maybe I'll go talk to her. So ultimately, Aries try to possess a woman, and if she don't let him in, well, they'll say, oh, she hates my ass. Yeah, maybe I'll talk to her anyways. Maybe I'll go talk to her anyways. But ultimately, if you're going to say that if Aries gets in, he'll like it. And then she'll like it. You know why? Because he'll like her for her letting him in. And she'll say, oh my God, I just let him in, and now he's liking it. And she's going to feel him liking it. She's going to say, now I'm connected to him, and he likes it. He likes me. And then she's going to feel better and say, oh, okay, is this okay? Yeah, it sure is great. He's possessing you, and you like that because you're actually two spirits being one. And it's called a relationship.
And so it's just the fact that people are looking at it from a standpoint of, he is possessing me.
Okay, that's it. That's another important thing. We got to go on farther with this because, yeah, okay, understand this, and I'll try to make it as quick as possible.
No, that's cool.
The fall of Rome fell because Goddess destroyed Rome. Why did she destroy Rome? I'll tell you why she destroyed Rome, she says, because they wouldn't stop being gladiators and thinking it was okay to kill for blood sport. And they did that for 500 years, and I would not put up with it after that. And they already killed all my women and destroyed my temples and squashed the goddess entirely because the women were complaining there cannot be no more gladiator fights. And the goddess told the women, do not let the men continue those fights. And you know what the women did? They stood up to the men. You know what the men did? They smashed the goddess temples, said if you mention the word goddess in public from now on, you'll be arrested or shot, or shot, or stabbed.
But shot with a slingshot.
Yeah, slingshot, right?
Skull.
So ultimately, it was an absolute complete catastrophe. Rome didn't want to get rid of the men. Said no, we're going to have gladiator fighting forever, and that was the reason why Rome fell. The gladiator fights were the cause of Rome's fall. The Christians came in because the Catholics weren't able to be influenced. The goddess said, I can't influence the Catholics. They listen to the Pope, and the Pope won't listen to me. So how are you going to do it, Mrs. Goddess? I'm going to get the Christians to come in here, and they will listen to me. And so, yeah, and then what are you going to tell them, though? They don't salute a goddess. Well, then I'll tell them I'm one God only. Just salute me. And then, yeah, so ultimately that's why the Christians came in to oversee the downfall of Rome. And ultimately, yeah, that's how they did it. The Christians they ran to the games, those games, and they said, you can't fight these games. And guess who was doing that? When the Christians ran into the gladiator arenas and said, you can't fight these games. It's not right. You're killing for fun and blood sport. Guess who was saying that? Guess what was coming out of that Christian's mouth? It was the goddess talking. She was saying, it's not right. We can't do this anymore. And then Rome was going, give me that vodka. Charge the second row. We will kill 5 more today. I'll sell the livers. This is so fun. Let's do this again tomorrow. And ultimately, yeah, she said, no, Rome's gone, man. Rome goes.
So you're saying like that, so the whole, like the religion of Christianity was created by the goddess.
So she could have influence on Rome again. Understand, she couldn't control the Romans because the Romans wouldn't listen to her. She couldn't get and infiltrate the Catholics because the Catholics only listened to the Pope, only listened to God. And so she didn't have any influence on anything. The Romans got rid of her temples and all the women by calling them all witches and burning them at the stake, saying, yeah, we got to get rid of them goddesses. We'll call them witches and burn them at the stake. Okay? Okay. They did it. And then, yeah, they did it. It was really bad. Rome was really wrong and bad. And we're not going to cry about it. And I could cry about it. It ultimately is very disturbing. But But ultimately, yeah, there's lots of good things about Rome. We'll focus on that. But ultimately, what am I saying? You know, Rome, the goddess said, yeah, because Aries and Leo, those egos, refused to quit drinking alcohol and having fun, killing things for fun in a sporting arena, charging money and selling livers. They sold body parts. They would cut them out of the bodies of the, yeah, that was the biggest thing. Once you killed and all the contenders died, then they go and they'd get them.
I want to buy a liver.
I want to buy a liver. And then they would bid for livers in the stand where you're supposed to buy popcorn. And the guys would come around and say, you're supposed to be buying popcorn, you idiots. And you're selling livers and bidding on them? No, it was not going to happen anymore. I'll destroy this whole world if I have to. And those egos, I'm going to take them out. I'm going to force them out. Those egos will never be in anybody again. I'm going to make sure the sun signs removed from every goddamn Roman citizen in this world. My name is a raging goddess, and I'm Lilith, and I'm pissed, and I'm mad, and I'll destroy you all. And understand she did. She won, because understand what happened. The goddess split Rome in two, and then told the Christians to take the western half. And that was with all the Romans still in charge. It wouldn't be her. And then told everyone, run to the east if you like me. And those were the Byzantine Empire. It became later.
So it's almost like, if you look at it like this, it's like, okay, so if you truly want to find God, you've got to go to the Catholic Church. If you want to find the goddess, she's not going to say she's there, but she's in like the religion of you know,
the Christians will listen to the goddess not knowing it. They'll still listen to her, and they'll also listen to God, and they think they're listening to God, and they are. Whenever the God tells Christians something, they certainly do listen to it. Christians are very brave, and they're very heroic. You know what a martyr means? A martyr is the first Christian that came in and said, "Oh, goddess, I'm pretty sure I'm feeling important." She definitely tells me all kinds of cool things, and she says that you shouldn't be fighting in the arena. And sometimes they get killed. But you know what? The goddess could make the Christians brave. Let me tell you this: when the goddess puts her touch on you, and I mean to say, when you're not making some story up and pretending to be saluting some god in the church when maybe he's not even there, and you're just making it all up to yourself. I'm saying when you're actually having a relationship with the goddess, it'll be real, not just pretended. And I'm saying, and then you'll say, oh my God. So some of them are pretending it. I'm saying, I'm not pointing fingers or naming names. I'm saying, but understand, it wasn't good enough for me to pretend to have a relationship with God or goddess. I want it for real. And understand, when she comes to you, it'll be for real. And you'll actually say, are you kidding me? So there's actually such thing as, I'll say, I don't know about God though, because I'm telling you, I don't know if he's for real or not, but maybe that's just because I'm not important enough and he's up there doing something important, saying, well, that dude, he's nobody to me. Maybe that's possible. But I never seen God or any proof of God or even knew God. But I'll tell you, Goddess is here with me every day, and she says the God's with her. And I'm saying, really? How come I'm talking to you and I feel like a feminine mom, and your mom talking to me? And if you're saying God's with you, she says, okay, now we're going to have to understand the prime number 2 in mathematics. She says to me, do you understand the singular nuclear chromosome that's on the sperm tip of a man's, sperm? Well, that's just a singular nuclear chromosome. It's only half of the other part, which is the mitochondrial chromosome in the egg. And so what are you saying? A sperm doesn't go into an egg and make it fertilized? Hell no. There's no such thing as a sperm that ever fertilized an egg. That's like ridiculous. There's such thing as a nuclear chromosome or a package on a FedEx truck, and that sperm was a whale, and it swam through that fluid and delivered that package, and it was a singular strand of nuclear DNA that had to meet up with a singular strand of mitochondrial DNA. And then when they got into the egg together like this, they said, do you want to make a life, or do you want to die with me right now, here and now, if we don't couple? And if we don't couple, then they're both going down into the toilet in the tampon.
And that's the caduceus there. Like,
there's no life, and there's not even allowed to have a life. This is Roman numeral 2. It's not good enough for life. She says, no, you could be in Roman numeral 2, but you'll be nothing more than Roman, and I'll still love you. But you're not going to be able to be conceived or have conception in spirit or in body. So what are you trying to say? That you can't conceive in spirit or be born in spirit if you won't couple? I'm saying, if you're actually going to be physically born, you can't even be physically born if you won't couple, because if those 2 chromosomes don't couple, there ain't no life. There would be no third daughter Gemini cell to create the fetus through protein synthesis. And it's created by the coupling. It's about the double helix spinning around. So what makes life, what is the absolute reason life could possibly even exist and be allowed to? That 2 chromosomes are willing to couple around each other and work together and agree to make a life together, sharing the instructions. Sharing the instructions. So what does that mean? Those 2 chromosomes have to share instructions? Yes, I'm saying one of them only has half the instructions. Not all. So you're saying he only has half the instructions? I'm saying right. And she's only got half. Well, you trying to trick me, man. I'm saying God did it on purpose like that, or Goddess did. Yeah, but each chromosome has half the instructions. What does that mean? When you create a fetus, First, you have to couple to make a daughter cell, and now the daughter cell is created, and the daughter cell is the only one that can make the fetus. So they can't go off and make a fetus on their own and say, I don't want you. They have to couple to make that daughter cell, who now is the only thing that has the power to make a fetus. So they don't have a choice. They can't uncouple after because the daughter cell won't be there. So understand, now the daughter cell can do protein synthesis and make a fetus. It can make flesh to bone, brain, any organ, and it's able to protein synthesize the flesh itself into the DNA strands. And so it's literally doing magic. It's making a fetus. It'll make a body. And now when the Gemini does that, it's creating that. And they have to share the instructions. First part of the role for him goes, he says, okay, my instructions give 1, 2, 1, 2, 4, 4, 6. And I love her enough. What's yours, honey? And she'll say, I don't know if I want to get along with you, though, darling. Should we start to fight now? Maybe not. Be a good time right now, making a fetus. You don't start fighting now, honey. Okay, so I should get along with you, darling. I think you should give your half of the instructions right now, darling, and be cooperative. Okay, my numbers are 5599. And they have to do this like this for the entire time the fetus is being created. They're taking turns giving sets of instructions. And God did this, said, if you can't couple, well, don't think after you couple, you're going to uncouple and go he, ha, 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 and separate again and go off and think you're going to protein synthesize your own babies. It won't happen. He made every danger, everything, including forming every disease that is created in your body. Understand there's a library in your chromosomes, a library for every known disease to man. It's a library, and the instructions for the protein synthesized portion of what's called Gemini daughter cell to create a disease on purpose. And so what that I'm trying to tell you in English layman's terms is all diseases are created on purpose, and the instructions are in the chromosomes and we're born. So you're trying to say that disease is not by accident. I'm saying you could roll the dice and then say, what are the instructions for that disease? And I'll say, is that on purpose? I don't know. Who rolled those dice?
That is like blowing my mind.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. All diseases are not by accident, man. And if they were to roll the dice, well, someone rolled them dice. So I'm trying to say, are you trying to say God said, I am so sick and tired of them two thinking they're going to go separate themselves and not get along? I'm going to require every kind of coupling for life. And then it's going to have to share instructions. And after that, if you get separate, you're going to get sick.
Ew.
And I'll have a list of 89 diseases, and the proportion for which you will separate from each other in spirit, meaning maybe I'm only hating her a little bit, but maybe I hate her and I'd kill her ass right now if I had a knife in my hand. Oh, well, then you understand? There's an instruction for what you're going to get for whatever you're doing. And it will obey. You know what? DNA obeys. The daughter cell obeys. What I'm saying is when your DNA is fighting itself right now and struggling because you're struggling against the feminine if you're masculine, or if you're masculine, you're struggling against feminine, that's because you're only half of what you need to be, and you need to be one. And you're trying to say, nah, I'm one man. And I'm saying that's only half of one man and one woman who are one allowed to live and be alive.
Dude, that is like some deep minds of Minota, like freaking information that you just like laid on us there.
They don't want to tell you that all disease is not by accident, or even it's all. You will only get sick if you're instructed to do it. It's only if your DNA is fighting and won't get along on purpose. So why didn't a doctor tell you that? Because then maybe you wouldn't need them anymore.
It brings to mind what you were talking about on one of your videos recently about John Wayne. Talk about John Wayne and like what your theory is there with him.
John Wayne is a great man with a time when everyone was scared and needed help and the hero needed to show up. But after that, we have to get rid of that hero and understand that if the hero doesn't go away, well, then it goes away somehow. But ultimately, John Wayne didn't get cancer till he got old, and he was allowed to get that old. But ultimately, he had to die by the same way he wouldn't live. Coupled. John Wayne was a singular chromosome that was a nuclear chromosome and maybe the biggest, fattest ass one in the whole damn West. And he said, don't think I'm ever going to beat her. Well, Pilgrim, you think I'm coupling with her? I don't think so, Pilgrim. Oh, well, then understand what's going to happen to you, Mr. John Wayne. Well, you could probably be allowed to live till you're mostly old because she'll say, yeah, you're not so bad. You're a nice chromosome. You're a hero. Yeah, you'll probably say today if we need it. But ultimately, when he got into those old age, yeah, well, you're still going to have to get through what happened. Well, when should we initiate the instruction for cancerous cells to be multiplied by the daughter cell? When should we enable it and engage it? Well, probably not till he's not really doing anything wrong, is he? What's he trying to do? Be against women? No, he's just being a hero and everyone loves him. Okay, well, then probably when he gets old and he's probably tired anyways, then, yeah, we have to initiate the instruction at some point. And so understand, how do you avoid cancer? How do you avoid sickness? Well, ultimately, if the goddess wants to make me look wrong right now, or like I'm lying, maybe she'll make me sick next week, or maybe she'll keep me well for the rest of my life. And so understand that what I'm saying is that she can make anyone look wrong, and anything can happen to make anyone look wrong. What I'm saying is you'll never get sick if you're doing it right. And if you're doing it right, then you're not against her if you're him, and you're not against him if you're her, and at least you're willing to cooperate with each other. And I'm saying, as above, so below, said Trigomaesters. He said, as above, so below. When you look above, you shall see what happens below. When you're fighting with your wife right here in the living room and your kids are being hearing over that, well, then your DNA in your own body's doing the same goddamn behavior and struggling against itself. So you're trying to say, as above, so below, the DNA will fight because the humans are fighting? I'm trying to say that every war and every behavior in the human race, as above, so below. So you're saying wars exist on Earth and the DNA is behaving like that in the bodies of humans? I'm saying just like the wars on Earth in the same manner and fashion. I'm saying the more wars on Earth, the more sickness on Earth, the more people are getting sick, the more problems, because understand, the less problems, the more the DNA is getting along. And so what does that mean? That means if there's a war above, there's DNA fighting below. So how do we stop it? Well, you could either stop the DNA fighting below, and eventually the wars above will stop too. Or you could stop the wars above and then hold that position like John Wayne. And then when the DNA decide to calm down, they will, but not for a while, maybe. So ultimately, as above, so below, if you don't know, you can't stop that effect. It has to be, you have to know. So the DNA won't stop struggling for a long time. Yeah, maybe a couple months. When you realize your DNA has been struggling and you're prone to get sick or you're not very healthy, then I'll say to you, your DNA has already been struggling. And now when you realize that, I'm going to say it's going to take 6 months for you to calm your DNA down. Because now you're going to be saying constantly, oh my God, I'm so struggling. All right. I'll say, yeah, but don't be doing it up here. As above, don't be doing it. So you'll say, what do I do? Not fight my husband? I'll say, definitely don't. Get rid of them and say, I don't want to fight husband. I'm already struggling.
That's when you're like, chill your gonads, man.
Yeah, that's when you realize that the struggle could be healthy if it's truly not against it in a sporting fashion. If it's actually playful, it's just doing behavior that's not really against the coupling. It says, I'll couple with you, but let's slap each other around a little bit. You know, ultimately that could be okay, and it's not going to be a bad thing. But understand that everything that happens to you from your life to your death is a program result of cell program death. And so even the aging process is because we are dying from a disease that is already in motion. And the moment you're born, your life says your death can't be, but it's coming along. And let me tell you something. You could age slower, I guarantee it, by eating potatoes, by eating raw potatoes. You want to get into it. If you're sick and you get desperate and say, I really need to follow some advice and I'll do anything right now, I'd say follow this advice. Eat raw potatoes, have some olive oil there once in a while, bananas, lots of bananas. Make sure you eat every kind of avocado. Make sure you eat every kind of fruit and vegetable, and most importantly, spinach. Eat that raw and never cook it. Eat it raw in your mouth. And let me tell you something. When you start putting that kind of nutrition in your body, your DNA will be so hungry and actually saying, we got some real food for lunch. It will stop fighting just to eat. Because what we're feeding ourselves, our DNA can't even eat. It'll say, oh my God, that's all trash. And ultimately, Hyperion, God, forbid meat eating. Said, you can't eat meat. I forbid it. And then everyone said, really? What if we forget that? Well, I guess you'll be eating meat and you're not supposed to. Oh, and what will that then be? Well, if you eat meat, you're going to find out that it's not going to be the healthiest thing for you. And you eat it a long time. Well, that'll be because meat was not meant to be eaten. And we're not really supposed to eat it, but we all do, and I love it. So I'll eat it.
I love it too.
But I try not to.
I used to, though. I'm the same way. I had incorporated. I've had some meat every day this past week, most of the time. But I've also had a lot of vegetarian meals, and I do find that I do feel better when I do that. And I've went through periods here in the past few months where I'm actually like repulsed by eating meat sometimes, and it's like the thought of it and the idea of it. I'm like, oh,
your DNA's in peace when you're repulsed by meat. When you eat meat, if your DNA is already struggling, when you're eating meat is a result of a predator that killed a prey in some spiritual way, in some animal, somewhere, in some kind of a feeling that's just a nuanced feeling that's just as important as any other important feeling, is to know that you'll be influenced by even the most brief nuances. And one of the most terrifying ones is to think that if you're eating meat, then someone got eaten and there must have been a predator or prey. What did that mean? That the DNA is still fighting? So what does that mean? That if you actually want your DNA to stop fighting, you can't give it any reason to think that it's losing. And if both sides thinks they're being eaten by the other side, they'll both be trying to eat the other side first and quicker. And what does that mean? You're both sides eating yourself. And your DNA is eating itself and eating you up. And so you won't. So if you want to age slower, you don't stress. You don't be against the opposite sex. You accept that there takes two in life to be one, that there is no one, there are only halves. If it's not him with her and being one, not two, then it will be half, him being half, and that's not one, or her being half, and that's not one, or two.
It's so crazy when you look at it like that. You know, I mean, it's like concepts that I had really never even considered like that at all. I mean, I don't know that I would ever have thought about these things from these points of view and from the perspective that you have. And I think it truly is interesting, like without a doubt. And I think that, you know, that's the perspective that you have along with your, you know, robust knowledge of astrology and the tarot that like really, when you couple all of that together, it really makes for some really, really unique understanding and a unique take on.
It's just the goddess talking, and I'm trying to take all the credit. My ego's sitting there going, you know, I really love it when I don't even have to try, because I'm just in cooperation with the other side, saying I'll work with you, but I'll even love you and take care of you and actually care about you too. And then she'll say, oh, really? So you actually don't want to be this asshole ego that says I'm only him and I'm screw her? And I'm saying I already did that, and you already know that I didn't like doing that, but you didn't tell me that either. Yeah, ultimately. And so she'll say, then why am I going to use you for anything important, Mr. Ego, big ego with all that power? And I'll say, because I'll keep being that big ego with all that power while I got you. And how rare is that? Well, an ego that's big and got power won't be her. So you're trying to say you're an ego that's got a lot of power and you are her own big time? And now how rare is that? That's like 0.5% in the population, man. How many of me are there going to be around? How many of him are there going to be around? How many of you that now have seen him and me that can be like us, choose to be? How many of us are there going to be around? We're going to be a rare quality that will live longer, tend to age slower, and be healthier all our lives for a simple decision to make. Okay, fine, I'll be her, but it should be me too, right? Sure, why not?
Well, I want to say, man, like, this has been a really awesome live stream.
Yeah.
And we're going to do more of these.
Lots more of them.
And, you know, certainly send them an email to thatworks2222@gmail.com. First time readings, $35.
$35, and I'll literally be the goddess doing it. And understand, I'm not trying to say I'm not the god. So the reason when I say I'm the goddess doing it, I didn't have a choice, man. She said, well, are you going to be okay with being on live TV or whatever and telling them that you're going to be me? And I said, well, yeah. She said, well, it's not you doing it. I said, it's really going to be you doing it. Well, might as well tell them the truth. Yeah, the goddess is going to give you a reading through me.
And there's no doubt about it. I mean, he is like, he like delves into things that I am just like, how in the F did
Now, I might tell you something that hurts, that maybe you don't like to hear, but understand, I'll try to be good about it. And I'm sensitive. I got feelings too, and I try to protect your feelings. But understand, I'm here to help you, not to just tell you how great you are, and I'll probably tell you how great you are. But the reality is, I might say a bunch of things that I see wrong with you, like, you know, you don't even like yourself, or you hate them because you don't even know how to be yourself, or you lost yourself and you don't know it, so you're walking around dispossessed or something like that.
And that's what the kind of reading that I want, and I'm sure a lot of you out here too. I mean, if you're paying for a reading, if you really want the divination the readings that you receive to really be of any kind of real benefit to you, you have to be willing to really take a look at the truth. And sometimes it sucks and it's hard.
It hurts sometimes
too. Exactly.
You'll see things that you could have fixed until I tell you that it was easy, but you never did it because you wouldn't do it. You were being stubborn, and you go, "Oh my God, that sucks."
Because it's not. It's definitely not curio. It's not for entertainment. This is real information that can, like, really be beneficial to you to.
And it is entertaining. Yeah, I'll pick out 5 things that make you great. And I won't make them up.
He really is like unbelievable. I certainly like give him like a 12 out of 10 for sure.
Wait, what about protein? I'm not going to roast down here, but what about protein? I love meat pork. Okay, you're talking to them. Okay, no, that's right.
Oh no, he was asking like about like I guess maybe like, so where would you get your protein? And I know you can certainly get a lot of protein from
avocados have
beans,
protein.
different things.
Yeah, beans have protein. And understand, you don't need as much protein as you think. And ultimately, Hercules would say, we need lots of ego. Okay, ego is very important. Okay, well, do we need protein? Well, Hera would say, we don't need any protein. Actually, we had enough of Hercules long ago.
So, I mean, I used to be really into lifting weights, bodybuilding, and all that kind of stuff. And I used to eat like ridiculous amounts of protein every day. And I really felt like, okay, from all of the education that I'd gotten, all the magazines that I read, and I really believed wholeheartedly, it's like, all right, you got to have complete protein. You got to have like actual meat to get like big and bulky.
Well, you do in a sense, but yeah,
you look at like some of these animals. You look at like a freaking like a horse or a cow. Like these animals only eat like grains or
they're
they're huge. They are freaking ripped. It's crazy. Like I really think that you can certainly get what you need from vegetables and different things and from the earth, and you really don't necessarily have to eat flesh in order to
it's better for you to be down. Actually, if you pick the right foods, it's better for you down. But ultimately, flesh is not terribly bad for you. Ultimately, when you're older age, when your intestines are getting in their 50s or 60s, it's a good thing not to make them work so hard. That's the important thing. To digest meat takes a lot of work.
I mean, I know for me personally, I used to drink a lot of milk, and I have cut dairy out. I mean, except for like cheese, and I eat cheese, but I don't drink like glasses of milk. Like I used to drink like 2 or 3 glasses of milk a day.
Oh, I love milk too.
I've been so much healthier, and I've lost so much weight, and been able to like maintain a healthy weight by cutting out dairy in that way. And I mean, I don't know anything about this kind of stuff, like to be able to speak on it like I'm somebody that really is like an authority on it. But I've always heard that adult humans are not supposed to drink milk, that you really can't.
I agree with that. Yeah, you weren't. Yeah, why don't we drink our mom's tit milk? It's actually made for us. So understand, if you want to go drink breast milk from a lady, because you're saying that's disgusting, that cow. I'm not doing it from an animal. I want it from a woman. Well, you'd actually be right, and you could actually get away with demanding that and be on a righteous level to say, yeah, I mean, breast milk from a human was made for me to drink, but not from a cow, man.
And it's so tasty. I mean, especially chocolate milk. It's great.
It is. Yeah.
I like almond milk. Almond milk is good.
And with like a peanut butter jelly sandwich, a big glass of milk, man. Oh my god.
I know.
Or tuna fish sandwich. I have a glass of milk.
I've never had a glass of milk with a tuna fish sandwich, though. I have not done that.
Tuna fish.
I love tuna fish sandwiches, though. I like a nice glass of Coca-Cola and maybe some chips. Shoot, man. Speaking of that, I am freaking hungry.
Put your chips in your sandwich and snack.
Oh my god. Yes, I'm ready for that. I am hungry as can be. And I want to thank everybody for joining us for this live stream. Dennis Eggleston will be back very soon. Check his channel
out. Many times, I hope.
He will be. And check his channel out and subscribe.
Thanks. Yeah, please do.
Please give this stream a thumbs up. If you all would, I would really, really appreciate that. Please subscribe.
2 chromosomes.
And I'm going to put his link to his channel in the chat here. I'll put it in the description too shortly after the live stream is over with. But I want to put his email for a $35 reading. It's thatworks2222@gmail.com. I'm going to put that in the chat now. I'm going to put the link to his channel. Please subscribe to Dennis's channel. He's got some freaking really interesting.
Yeah, please subscribe. I need to get my count up.
Yeah. Dennis had like 5,000 subs, but he did the ultimate, and like showing that he is detached from ego, and he deleted his channel and started again, and he's doing it. And I know that would be
to show that I don't need my ego. My ego's not controlling me. Do you think the ego would have deleted his channel? No, it would take a not self to do that.
And he did. I couldn't believe it. I was like, damn. But he did it, man.
See y'all.
Oh, I gotta say it. Dice Controller 187. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for being here. You know, I love you all. You're all awesome as hell. And thank you for being here early on a Saturday morning. And we will be back soon. And I'm going to put Dennis's URL to his channel. Please subscribe to that. And I know it's the end of the stream. Thank you, Lord Drillium Lucidius,
Yeah, thanks for coming,
for
y'all.
the super chat. And anybody else that wants to donate in the super chat, the icon is the bottom left-hand corner of the chat, the $sign. I always appreciate that so freaking much. I will do a.
He's the man.
Yeah, I try to be, man. I try to be, dude. But thank you all again. We love you. See you soon. There you are. See you soon.
See ya.
And we are freaking out some kind of way in the stream like that. That's how you do it. Yeah.
It's